Hi, this is Phil Bautista, and I'm here with Bob Ellington. Bob has been in the remedy space for many, many years. He's a custom developer. He's knowledgeable in basically all things remedy. And Bob, I'd like to talk to you about what it was like to work with you. You surprised me when I got a call from you, and you had said, "Hey, Phil, we've got a discovery issue here. The manufacturer's been out, can't solve the problems. Their top partner's been out, can't solve the problems." And you had a 3-week window. You had enough money for 3 weeks worth of time for me to solve your discovery problems. And if you remember what I said to you, I said, so you've got this installed, the manufacturer can't fix it, and their top partners can't fix it, and you think I can? You said, oh yeah, I think you can. And so what was it like to work with me on that?
That was a good time there, Phil. You came in, more than anything, I think what I needed was for you to help one of my employees to understand the discovery tool better and what he needed to be looking for, how he needed to be performing his discoveries. Because one of the issues that we had is we had discoveries that were running and we had a limited window to perform the discovery in. And you identified quickly that the discovery was only getting about 40% done, and it was attempting to restart again the next time that it would come up. And you helped him to figure out how to split those up so that they would run different times and wouldn't have to try to process so much at a single time. And it was a tough one to look at because from our perspective, we've got 15 different consolidators. Discovery appliances running back to a consolidator. Some of the appliances were doing just fine and a few were having problems, but you figured it out that there were just too much data trying to process through in that short time window, and the way it would restart caused an issue.
Well, in addition to that, you made it even more challenging. And here's how that was more challenging. When I got there, you described the problem. Actually, we described the problem, talked it on the phone, and I came out and we sat down and I said, okay, great. Where do I sit? What's my login? You remember your response? You guys said, oh no, you don't get to log in.
You don't get to touch the keyboard.
Yeah, you don't get to touch the keyboard. We don't have time for you to get an account. We just need you to help us fix the problem. So I kind of thought to myself, all right. So I remember sitting with Matt, I think at the time, and so we brought something up and showed us some things, but it was clear he didn't really understand the process, right? He didn't understand what reconciliation was, what the normalization, and the feeding process, right? So we went through that entire process. I think helped your resource understand that, and yes. By, like you say, basically dividing the problem into manageable areas helped fix us. And here's something that I think is interesting. You had 3 weeks worth of money. Yes, we solved this problem that hadn't been able to solve in 2 weeks, and I left a week's worth of money on the table. Now, maybe that was a bad business decision, but you know what? You called me back. As a matter of fact, I remember you and Brian saying, hey, do you know anything about remedy? I said, as a matter of fact, I do. And so that investment in my time and saving you money, I think, paid off because, you called me back and we worked on a couple of different remedy things. And I was just pleased as I could be to work with you because you are very detail oriented. And so how was that to basically take your baby, because this FSM was your baby. You developed this from scratch, and it has all the complexity of the ITSM solution with all the backend data and all the forms, even some that doesn't have today. But how was it like to work with somebody who didn't know that? You developed it. You've got to basically teach me your baby and have me help you improve that. What was that like to work with me on that?
So one of the things that you did really well, Phil, is you love to take notes about the system that you have in front of you. You sat there and put together spreadsheets that where you tried to identify the active links, filters, all the workflow pieces that you thought were involved. And you were willing to come back and talk to me and say, am I looking the right direction? Am I headed the direction that I need you to go in? And you were spot on with everything you did there. We began to work together sort of like in a scrum scenario every morning. And we would sit there and review things. And I remember telling you using a term that one of my NASA people would hit me with early on when we were putting in this product, I would tell you to admire the workflow there. And obviously admire in this context does not mean sit back and applaud what a great job Bob did on this stuff. It was to get in there and dissect what's going on. And, you know, when we needed you to duplicate a function for a different service line that we were dealing with, you were able to take that information and turn it into the extra work that we needed and got everything working perfectly on time. And in the end, we didn't even make you stick around for deployment on it. We got to we wanted to utilize every minute of your time after that in order to get as much product out of you as possible, because we were able to tell that we were going to have a good working model in the end with this. And when we went to testing, that I could take it and do the minor tweaks that were found in testing to get everything going. But really, there were no tweaks to be done. You nailed it, spot on.
Well, thank you, Bob. I know there's some things you had to do after I left, but I think to kind of help myself help you, and I do this with everything that I do, I document it. I have a couple sayings on the back of my business card. One is, if it's worth doing, it's worth documenting. Because somebody, whether it's me or you or your team or my predecessor, my successor, whatever, they're going to have to come back and replicate what we've done, understand what we've done. So the documentation that you had helped me create documentation for what I was going to do that I could leave behind, that you could follow to deploy that to production, you know, using the standard SDLC principles. And you use the Kanban board, which is great, because every day we would sit around and look at those and understand what we needed to do, have a plan and work that plan for the day and review it the next day, which is critical. So I was impressed with your level of detail. Bob, I've got to tell you, your use of active links and filter guides, active link guides, filter guides that call other guides, and the data-driven approach is exactly the kind of way that folks like you are successful. And I appreciate that from a level of detail, but it requires a lot of admiring
Yes.
of the code. And so I'm happy that we got to work together, and I learned a lot of great things from you. And I've always looked forward to trying to share those with other people. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to work with you, Bob, and who knows, we may be able to work together again. I certainly appreciated working with you, and thank you for your kind words and for, you know, being frank and honest. And I know I didn't do everything right, but you know, hopefully I left you in a position better than you were before, and helped you be able to be more successful in the things moving forward after I left.
Yes, very much, Phil, because this part of what helped on bringing you in on the remedy development side of things is that we had been handed some extra money to do this development, and they wanted me to continue working on our regular sustainment development that we already had underway. And as you know, it's very hard to get cloned nowadays for doing stuff. But you came in and you were a very good substitute for my clone, and you took up the pieces that we needed and completed it in the time frame with the money that we had in place for you. And I think you even left a little bit of money on the table the last time too, as well, if I remember right. I think you still had probably another week's worth of time that we could have used if necessary, but it wasn't necessary.
Well, thank you so much, Bob. I appreciate your kind words, and I appreciate you describing how it was to work with me, and I enjoyed working with you. Thank you so much. Have a great day, Bob.
You too. Thank you, Phil.